Greetings and salutations. Ben here, there, you, just about everywhere, worldwide, international, global, interstellar. We don't know. It could be putting beams out into the nether regions of the nether regions of the universe. Wow.
Wow, that's a scary thought.
Well, I'm kind of a scary thinker at times. Welcome to the Sunday Night hanging here on a Sunday.
It being Sunday.
If you do, please subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. And it's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk about all kinds of cool stuff. I don't know exactly what. Rob has some gear to show off, which is always fun and slightly disturbing, kind of like album covers.
Yep.
There is that. So that'll be fun. Is that a new font title, or am I You're clueless, Mike. There's nothing new. There's nothing new around here. So let's see. Let's get to all the 19 people thus far.
Yay.
We got first in the air is Terry's 3Gs an hour ago. That's cool.
Yeah.
Then we got Brother Jim. There's JP Page 2. And then Earl. There's Laz. Good to see Laz.
Hey, Laz.
Billy Baloney. Unfucking believable. Michael Kraus. Who else we got? Dastardly Dave. Good to see Dave. Michael B. Live. Michael B. was live earlier today, in fact.
Hey.
Who else? Martian Murray's here. He's not Martian nor Murray, but we still like him anyways. There's Matt McCollum. You can tell by the way that he is. Right next to Munch Michelli. That's cool. Hit Metalworks is here. Steve Cassidy guitar. Hello. Eston Ray. Keith H. Glenn Michael Thompson. And we're caught now 26 people.
All right.
7 more people came in during roll call. There's Trev. He's listening while in recovery. All right. Well, worst case, so I might send Hip in to poke you alive, with a stick. Hey, Hip, grab a stick on the way in. He's like, I don't have a stick. I'll use a guitar neck.
There you go.
Mark Taft in the house. Eddie Van Haskell.
Hey.
Good to see one and all. Yeah, so if you have a question for either of us, you can use the ampersand. That's the @ sign for those who don't know. Start it out with some question marks. Stand out with a super chat. I won't complain. Membership, it's got privileges. You can use a member milestone message to ask a question too. And found out we're going to do a group hang next week to celebrate 8 years of doing this. But technically tonight was the 8th year anniversary. Didn't know it until after we set up the show. Didn't really think to do anything until Cousin Doug, Coombs, typical any excuse to weasel his way onto a show. He's like, so you got anything big planned tonight? I could grab a guitar and look like it fit in. And I was like, no, actually, I didn't have anything planned. Sorry.
If I'm here, there's nothing planned. That's your first sign usually. If I'm showing up, we've run out of good ideas.
So I was going to specifically shout out Michael B. and Billy Baloney to see if they want to come on next week as part of the panel. They're always fun to have on.
Yes,
and thank you, Steve Cassidy. And to celebrate 8 years, it would be awesome if 10 of you did a $8 super chat or donation or something. Virtual tip jar of $8. Is it $80 happens to also be about the price of my monthly Gretsch payment. So, it'd be nice to cover that for a month.
It would.
Or groceries. No, one or the other.
One or the other.
Which reminds me, ironically, I need to pick up TP and kitty litter. So both me and the cat need to take care of a certain situation there. So that's on the list. I'm good next week. He could have put it in the chat. He messages me instead. So Michael B. and Billy Baloney both in. There's Rob Blackmore official and Wayne McConnell. Yay! Thank you, Michael B.
Oh, Michael B. That's 1 down, 7 to go. Nice.
Steve Racer, is that you, Dark Rob? It is. I can tell by the black aura. Wow.
I work hard at it. We actually did have a question, actually. Chris, a.k.a. Uneffin' Believable, had one very early, right out of the gate.
I saw that.
Yes, I know.
He wants me to pretend I'm Charles.
Charles, how my guitar journey began. And first of all, my bass journey, musical journey.
So, let's go with... Yeah.
Bass journey for the people who just don't care. Yeah. So how it all started was
There's Guitar Man 45.
I hung out with a bunch of friends on this little tiny street, beautiful Cornelia Street in beautiful Pittston, Pennsylvania, which is about the length of Ben's basement, and for whatever god-awful reason produced more good guitar players than any little Eastern PA town had a right to.
Ah, dastardly.
Hi, Dave. And
Thank
I kind
you,
of
Dave.
realized early on I was never going to be as good of a guitar player as most of those guys. But I was talking with one of them, and they're like, you don't need to be good. You just need to play bass. Which I love the fact that the lead-in was, you don't need to be good. You should try to play
Well, let's be honest. In a world of eighth note, root note,
bass. There you go.
right?
Yep.
Like the Cliff Williams School of Bass Playing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You know?
This was the mid-'80s. And I'm
thank you, Unfucking Believable, for the virtual tip in the virtual tip jar.
Ooh, and thank you for that too. And I was like, well, what's the bass player? And somebody loaned me like that Who final tour on VHS, of course, the last show.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Ant Whistle hammering, 40 years later, and only 2 living members left.
For
Still
kitty
on
litter,
tour.
TP, and food. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that, Jim.
The Triple Crown: food, cat litter, and toilet paper.
Well, yeah, and I went through a bunch last night.
Well, there you go.
For
Yeah,
people that can, without getting into detail, they know.
it was.
Tried to do a
ugly.
virtual hang, and they spent more time looking at an empty room than looking at me.
Ben was under the weather.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But I saw that video, and it was like, wow, I was watching Ant Whistle on that big old
Right.
Explorer, the Exploiter alembic bass. And I was just like, oh, well, how hard could that be? Yeah, a lot harder than I thought. But, you know, good advice is good advice.
Did
'cause
you have a
they
nice
said,
backbone in the neck so your strings could buzz like ant whistles?
well, the great thing is, you know, if you just set it flat, you don't even need to worry about that. You know, just you know, lower the strings till they hit the frets. Or as he
Yeah.
put it, put the strings under the frets if you can, which I thought was great. But I thought, how hard can this be? You know, but it was harder than I thought. But my friend was right. He's like, yeah, if you can play bass, you'll always have a gig. And no,
Well, that was my idea.
Yep.
I originally was going to be a bass player because I saw the revolving door of bass players through my dad's band.
Yep.
Going to multiple multi-band shows, which were usually fundraisers for the musicians union local. But quite often I would see the same bass player in multiple bands.
Yep.
And I'm like, ooh.
That is job
And I
security.
asked, you know, ooh, this is about $8, but in Scottish
It's
sterling.
Scottish sterling.
Nice. Appreciate that, Steve.
There you go.
And the latest member of the Explorer Club, Mark Spurgeon, in the house.
Hey, Mark.
Good to see you.
I can play the My Generation solo. I think every bass player is required to play My Generation in the intro to Real Me. I think that's actually is actually required.
I was going to say, or, you know, if you're going to slap and pop at all, higher ground.
Yeah.
Please style.
Oh, and you know, for some reason, he's been like showing up in my feed a lot lately. And every time I see him play, I cringe because he is such a horrible, like from a technical standpoint, slap and pop player. I'm like, no. Watch Marcus Miller. No,
Yeah.
you know.
First of all, I'm pretty sure if you play slap pop, you have to have the bass under your armpits, not down around your hip.
Or there's
You know,
that.
I'm like, you're slinging it like Nikki Sixx,
Yep.
but you're actually playing the bass.
And he's got it like 6 inches off the neck. And that was like how I started out, because that's how
Yeah.
everybody starts out playing slap and pop. And then you kind of, you know, figure out, hey, I need to be more economical about this, you know? And then you've got Charles Berthoud, who's on the opposite side of the spectrum. But yeah, I still look at him and it's like, my God, the guy is 60 years old and still doing that. You would think his wrists by now
Don't
would be
die,
like,
Ben. Don't let the cat die either. A fella might get the lotion soft TP. Thanks, Matt. Yeah. I was saying, but I was like, do they make like a lotion, like the lotion Kleenex? Just like, I was feeling fragile after a while.
I'm feeling fragile.
Oh, yeah.
We are going in some strange directions today.
Yeah, I was like, could I get one of those like hemorrhoid donuts to sit on? That would be really comfortable. Bo says my mixer board and one power amp fried. Sucks. Well,
Oh,
fortunately, Bo, you probably have 14 other mixer
7
boards
others,
in
yeah.
your power
Yeah.
amp.
Yeah, Bo's got a backup Neve. It was actually used on Abbey Road, so that's
What's up,
fine.
6-string Stanger? Good to see Dave in the chat. Happy New Year to you as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you saw an out whistle bit video and you went, I could probably do that.
I could probably do that, and even if I can't, I can fake it. And then the best part was just being able to even thumb slap a little bit got you a lot of gigs, because that seemed to be as far as most bass players could go. They
Well,
kind of went as
it
far
kind of
as
went hand in hand with Simmons drums and a lot of keys in the 80s. So there was a lot of, not even full on slap, but almost like, I guess,
it's
yeah, just playing by just tap, kind of a tap. So, similar to the use of fretless basses throughout the 80s.
Yep.
Like,
And it kind of, we talked about that once, myself and a couple of friends who played bass. We kind of figured it all went back to like Ashes to Ashes by Bowie. Because that was like the first song where the thumb and slap was really just integrated into the
and I was
song.
thinking all the early 80s Brit, I would say Brit pop.
Kajagoogoo,
It wasn't,
Kajagoogoo,
yeah,
Kajagoogoo had all that going in Too Shy. All those like synth pop bands
yeah.
always, and even Duran
Level
Duran was
42.
Oh, he was a god. Mark King was
Right.
incredible.
Yeah, because
at
he
that.
was also the singer as well, was he not?
He was the singer, and he started out as a drummer. So he kind of like,
That
and
would
that's
make sense.
yep, and that's how Larry Graham developed like the slapping and popping. His mom and he had this like gospel group, and they belonged to the local union, and there was some like union rule that changed, and they weren't going to get
Yes.
paid anymore with the drummer. So Larry Graham's mom's like, you're gonna learn how to drum on bass.
Slapping and popping the octave. White Boy
White boy
Funk 101.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Yep. Thumb slap the open E.
There's good old
Then
Ferd Burple.
thumb slap the E above it. Then you pop on the high E. Yep. Bum 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 up and down. Oh yeah. Cheating octaves. Yep. The whole way.
Mm-hmm. Zach Thong's here as well.
Hey Zach.
Good to see you. Boom. Nice.
And then the best part is when you find these like mutants, mainly from Japan. I don't know why they all come from Japan, and you'll see them slapping and popping on like an
Strict
8-string.
parenting.
And strict parenting.
Yeah.
We want you to slap and pop on an 8-string, and that's
Right?
just
If you're not going to play violin by age 4 and playing Bach by age 4, then you're going to be the next Jocko or
yeah, you are. That's what I love. Like some 17-year-old, never left his room, slapping and popping brilliantly on an
left hand
8-string
and right
bass.
hand mutes in between the slapping and the pop. Oh yeah.
And a lot of rolls with the left hand. That's the thing. A lot you can do because you're hitting it so hard.
Yeah.
You can get a second and third note just by rolling.
Yeah.
So you basically make sure it hits and then rolls. You can do a lot.
Now the
with
question
that.
is, have you ever felt the need to put a microphone into your bass?
Yeah, direct box is your best friend. Yeah, that's the best thing I can tell you about bass.
Yeah,
So.
I think it was the custom. Was that a 5-string J bass? Oh, who was that? Was that Larry? Oh man! And just right. It's almost like podium style microphone coming off the upper horn of the bass for singing while playing.
Oh, I don't know. That I'd like to see. Let's see. Mark King played a 5. I don't know. He played a JD 5 actually, a JD and an Alembic, and he had a.
Hey Ben, read the comments so I don't have to. Just did, Keith. Yeah. Who was it? Come on. I know someone in the chat knows.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen somebody running a mic off the bass. That used to be the old Les Paul thing. Les Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So after Ant Whistle, yeah. So a lot of my buddies studied with this same guitar teacher who was like a big time jazz head, and he was into Joe Pass. And I ended up taking bass lessons from him, even though he was a guitar player. And he was the guy who got me into kind of the jazz players. He was like, if you really like this stuff, he goes, start listening to Stanley Clarke and start listening to Jaco Pastorius and all those guys. And that was when I started getting into, the jazz guys who were, this is even before Victor Wooten, but Jacko and Stanley Clark were huge, and those guys that played with everybody, like Chuck Rainey, who played on jazz and was also the bass player for Steely Dan. Chuck Rainey's bass books are the ones I really kind of learned from. There's a Chuck Rainey bass series I learned from. I'm just answering Chris's "So After Ant Whistle."
Yes.
Here. So, and
the follow-up question. In fact,
yeah, and then there was a guy, he's still around, Mark Egan, who studied under Jocko at University of Miami, where Bent Tom went, actually, and RJ went. But he studied because Will Lee's dad ran the music program. Will Lee was the bass player from Letterman. And Mark Egan was talking about studying under Jocko, because Jocko taught there for a couple of years. And he was talking about the books Jocko used. And he was using these like cello studies and stuff. So I got one of those and kind of slowly figured out how to do a lot of that stuff on bass. My Bootsy Collins, my boots are upstairs actually, and my star basses too. But Bootsy's great too, and his brother is a great player too. I think his brother's a guitar player, but yeah, Bootsy's stuff is great. Bootsy's the long line of bass players, fired by James Brown. That was always a point of honor. Larry Graham.
Larry Graham had the built-in mic.
Was it Larry Graham that had the?
I think it was Larry Graham.
He might have.
All white bass. I remember all white bass with a little.
Larry, it could be from Graham Central Station. Yeah, he had his own band. Okay, that could be him because he got fired by.
Yeah, because I'm doing searches and it, like even Google AI is like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I'm like, seriously.
It could be Larry Graham from Graham Central Station. That could very well be.
99% sure it was Larry Graham.
That could be him.
He also was part of someone else's band before he went solo.
Yeah, he was one of the many fired by James Brown. Yep. Yeah,
okay.
he was fired by James Brown.
Who didn't play with James Brown?
And get fired.
Yeah, well.
My favorite was Jocko, who was fired by Wayne Cochran, who was known as the White James Brown. And if you've ever seen a picture of Wayne Cochran, the world did not need a white James Brown.
No.
I'm just saying that right now.
No, I agree.
Oh,
Sly Stone.
Was it Sly? No. Actually, I'm sorry. I think Billy Baloney is correct. He was fired by Sly, not James Brown.
Yeah.
My apologies. He was fired by Sly. So, and then he had Graham Central Station.
To answer Dave's question, I am not going to NAMM.
I don't think a lot of YouTubers dropped out. I know Phil said he's not going.
It's too far and too much of a hassle, and I'm not even sure. Well, it used to be less of a hassle because they used to get a ride to the airport, which is the better part of 3 hours each way. Because I don't like just leaving my vehicle parked for a week somewhere, So there's that. Sly was great in Tango and Cash. True.
How does studying cello sheet music leading to collecting bass abominations? I prefer to think of them as bass idiosyncrasies.
Thank you, Terry, for the link to Rob's channel. If you're into weirdness and oddities and such, check out Rob's channel. I highly recommend it.
Just don't think of them as abominations. Think of them as bass ideas that looked great on paper.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the 80s in many ways. Yep. We thought we had a lot of great ideas. Turns out we didn't.
Like, this was one of my newest acquisitions. I love these. These are the Honers. These were made by Court under license.
So it's
Honer.
A Court PJ Steinberg.
Yeah, I love them because you could collect these forever. Every one of them is slightly different. To give you a good idea of how good the neck on this one is, I've got the truss rod wrench already ready. I'm going to be shooting a video on this, Jim. I have some of these that have like a built-in XLR jack. This one I particularly like because, as Ben pointed out, it's got a PJ bass setup, a PJ pickup setup.
Which is my favorite because you can cover everything with that.
Yeah.
Everything but a Music Man with the humbucker pickup, right?
Yep. But I love the logic behind it. It's like, well, we want to ease people into something new. Maybe people will play this.
We won't give you the EMGs and all this shit.
Yeah. Nobody's buying this. Nobody's going to look at this and say, oh, you know what? The PJ, that's why maybe it's okay. It's like, no, you're going to commit yourself to the active electronics.
That bass was designed exactly for We're starting an 80s tribute band, which is going to be all different 80s music. So you got to cover a ton of territory, but you also have to look the part. See you, Steve. Have a good night, my friend.
Oh, bye, Steve.
It's like we have to cover 15 different bands, and you need to cover the sounds. You need to have a variety of sounds available, but you also want to look the part. So you're going to have teased hair, play a Steinberger-shaped object, have padded shoulders in your sports jacket with the pushed-up sleeves.
Members only. It has to be the members only windbreaker. Yep.
Ooh. No, I was thinking like animal print sports jacket with the pushed-up sleeve.
Maybe an animal print liner. You put your arms up.
Kind of Edith Crickley meets Don Johnson.
There you go. And those two should never meet.
No,
so, but
who's taller though? That's the question.
He was a little man, not well known. He was a very little man.
Yeah,
and the best thing about
he
this,
got out of the Ferrari and the seat was pushed all the way forward, like my grandmother was driving.
It was a bad.
And I'm like, there's not a lot of leg room. They're built by Italians who aren't tall people.
But he could spring right out of that. It was like a clown car. There's no engine. We just pushed it out. So, and of course you don't need a stand because you got this
Kamikaze headband as well. Yeah. Well, I saved that for the keyboard players.
For the guitar player when they come out for the solo. You put
wearing the Rising Sun headband, right?
The headband and the guitar, and the extra superfluous strap button here, so you can just
for the lefties that play upside down, I guess.
yeah, big market for those.
No.
But I think I'm going to shoot a video for that one because I've got to do the neck needs to be torqued on that, and I've never seen a video where somebody's actually shown how to change the strings on a double ball bass, how to adjust the intonation, and actually
great idea.
Do the neck.
So. Videos like that get traction. It's only the oddball setups I've done that really get traction.
Yeah, I think I did, but I did tell Chris I was going to do the much maligned, and rightfully so, the much maligned ART night bass next, I think, which was... Yeah, if you think the ART SGX 2000 as a guitar rig was noisy and weird, yeah, the night bass is even weirder. But there's lots of lights on it, which was the mark of a good instrument, a good piece of outboard gear in the 90s, the number of lights. So thinking of doing that one.
Yeah, as opposed to, my sign of a great guitar in the 80s was how many mini toggles it had.
That's why I love BCRich's, because you get mini toggles and a rotary.
Yeah, I got the 3 mini toggles for each pickup on and off.
Of course.
Which allows me to put all 3 pickups on at the same time. Ha ha ha.
Yep.
Poor man's Tyler at that point. What's up, Johnny Payne?
The poor man's Tyler. It's how he sold it.
Well, I don't have Tyler money, as much as I like to have a Tyler. Cool.
And I'm the only person who likes that headstock, because the headstock is just awesome.
Again, 80s. It just reminds me of 80s.
Well, of course, because you got that Tyler, that shadow.
Because I remember Varney doing Varney.
Yep. Oh yeah, that was the market quality instrument. So the ART rack mount. Oh yeah, I remember the old joke about ART was always repaired temporarily. I mean, to its credit, I never broke one, but then again, I wasn't really gigging with them. So
I thought it was weird. Yeah, digital rack gear that needed to be calibrated. I was like, what? It's digital!
It's digital. Why are we calibrating?
Why? What needs to be calibrated? Well, the chips over time. Blah, blah, blah. What?
Chip drift. It's chip drift. What? I don't know. Is that a thing?
It's like your tube's going out of bias over time.
Yeah. Oh, no. Status. Yeah, Michael Krause. Status was a thing. Yeah, Status were super expensive. They were like the Status basses. They had graphite necks. Mark King from Level 42 played one. They were crazy expensive, and Hohner hijacked and copied those too. They had the Hohner, the Jack, which was a copy of the Status. But yeah, the Status series too. They were British made, and they were all graphite. They were kind of the British answer to a Steinberger, but had a normal guitar body, and they were slick. I think they're long out of business. Maybe they are still floating around. I don't know. But they were great basses. Mark King played those. And they were a lot like Alembics. They had the light up LEDs up and down the neck, too. So Mark King from Level 42 played those.
I just forgot. I'm going to cough my ass off now because I'm in honor of Ken, I got some Durban-based weed. And, I'm coughing worse than him. Speaking of basses, I saw Hofner went out of business. Well, bankrupt. but not bankrupt. The restructuring bankrupt as the complete tips up bankrupt.
Yeah, the next best thing that just pushes it down.
Well, it just proves even Paul McCartney can only sell your shitty basses for you for 6 decades.
No, Sandman's bass wasn't fretless. He had a 2-string bass, and he had some weird tuning he was in. I don't think it was fretless. It was this very weird thing, but yeah, from the band Morphine. Yeah, they were this Boston-based. They kind of got lumped in with punk, but they were their own weird thing. And was it Mark or Adam Sandman? I think it was Mark Sandman. Okay. And he died on stage actually, or collapsed and died afterwards. But I think he had a 2 or 3 string bass. He played slide, and I think it was actually fretted. So he actually played slide bass. It was really neat sounding. It was a really neat sounding tone. Oh yeah, and the Kubicki X Factor. I played one of those once because Kubicki sold them through Fender dealers. And all I can remember about it is it was neat, but for some reason, it was a neat bass, but they had QC issues. Like, I remember it was this is 89, 90 maybe. And the thing was, they were $2,000 then, which was crazy money. So they were Steinberger money. And I remember the jack was falling out of it. And I was like, what the hell?
Right.
And they were like, oh, well, Stu Ham plays one. I'm like, oh, I know Stu Ham plays 5 of them, but I'm sure his tech makes sure the jacks don't fall out of them.
Right.
Michael Krause is telling me Eastwood makes a copy of it.
What doesn't Eastwood make a copy of?
Valid point. But yeah, it was 2-string bass. But yeah, Kubicki's, I'd like to own one. I kind of passed on it at the time because A, I didn't have the money, and B, I thought it was kind of shabby, that much money, and the jack was falling out. But now, Phil showed me a picture of one of his basses, Ferd. I'm way on the East Coast. I don't think any McKnight bass made it past the Mississippi. I get the feeling they all sold. And
I don't think they made any past the Rio Grande.
I was gonna say I think they're probably.
Look at me with my American geography reference.
I think Arizona and New Mexico is the market.
If they make it east of the Colorado.
Oh yeah, Joe Alba. Yeah, Morphine were Boston area. One of the Boston burbs they came out of. They were a really weird band. But I've seen pictures of the McKnight bass. I got soured on any bass with someone's name on it. If anyone remembers the horrible Flea bass that was made for a couple of years, they were $400 or $500.
I just know this Flea bass.
Yeah, they were awful. There was an actual Flea brand bass made for a couple of years, and they were horrific. That was I
just remember the owner of a music store, Fender basically forcing them on their dealers. Made in Mexico Flea bass, and it was priced $200 more than the non-Flea exact same not pink made in Mexico bass.
Yeah,
it was $1,100 Canadian as opposed to $9 for the same thing. And he's like, "This isn't gonna sell." He's like,
no.
Most Flea fans are male, and they don't want a pink bass. I was like,
"Oh, this was before the signature bass. He had his own bass company, and he designed the one with the weird
because this was 2019. I want to say.
Oh, this was even before
when
that.
the Made in Mexico bass. But the funny thing is, Rob, he took a photo of it, put it on the website. It was gone within the hour. He's like, "Oh, I can't believe it sold so fast." I'm like, "I can."
Yep.
Flea's a big fucking deal to multi-generations. What's up, Dr. Kramer?
The doctor is in the house. But yeah, there was so much great weird bass gear that came out of the 80s. The Kubicki was
the thing I liked was the diversity, not everyone playing a P bass through an SVT. Not that there's anything wrong with a P bass through an SVT, but
you had a lot of
generally it was some unique bass played through a GK system of some kind.
You had GK, you had SWR, you had Eden, you had Bag End, and they were all bought by Fender and shut down. Yep. Basically, they all got...
There's people rocking PV heads for basses still.
Like me. Oh, I got a whole bass full of PV stuff.
Of course, there was the Ampeg users as well.
Yep.
But that was kind of like if you were still rocking full Marshall stacks on stage, you're running an Ampeg system to go along complementing the Marshall stacks. But if you were like a hodgepodge backline, like let's say you're backing up Clapton, for instance, and he's running through his Soldano, he's like, yeah, run whatever sounds good, dude. You know?
And it was those guys that started playing 5-string, like Nathan East. Nathan East was hey, Amanda. Nathan East, who kind of replaced Duck Dunn in Clapton's band, who had a lot of really good stuff. He played a lot with Peter Gabriel, too.
I think he was based out on the East Coast, because he seems to be like a stuff recorded out in the New York area. He seemed to appear on more.
And Eric Coombs is talking about Sun. Yeah, the Sun Beta bass, the Sun rig was what Entwistle played. So people who wanted to sound like Entwistle,
right.
I remember them buying the Sun stuff. He had this massive Sun rig, and they still sounded nothing like like Entwistle. Because I think they had actual action. So.
Sorry I'm late. Didn't want to miss my favorite Rob.
Well, thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that.
Wow. That's Rob Blackmore's going, fuck you, Amanda. I'm like, damn. I didn't know you were in here.
I have a Squire Bass 6 too. Those things are great fun.
I had one. I sold it.
Yes, you did. I still have mine.
I got more for it than I paid for it. Now, I did get a deal on it, but I think I got for it what Long McQuaid was asking for before I bought it. Damn near.
They're fun.
Doing the setup video on it, which nobody else. That's what I was saying. Like, do a setup video on odd things.
Yeah.
That setup video, like, I'm lucky. Most setup videos will get 200 views in a year. That thing gets 20 views a day years at this point.
My Bass 6 video for that, my Squire Bass 6 and my 8-string Schecter have more. Best bass player with the worst tone, John Young from Dream Theater. I was watching.
I'm going with that whistle.
I don't know. I like it though. It's so Myung's. I think
like the total strings on just all over the place.
Myung is like that too. Myung is like that, but it's worse because it's a 6-string bongo bass. But yeah, Myung, they had his tech on, and he had the worst weak Entwistle farting bass. Yeah,
I hate to say it, Myung. But having listened to the Rush Presto album in the past week, Geddy's 80s rubber band bass sound was not the best bass tone.
See, I like the Wally bass. I really did. I liked the Wally, and the Wally was power windows, I think up through Presto, and then he went back to the jazz bass. But I really liked it.
Yeah, I got to Presto, Hold Your Fire.
Yeah, like I like the big money bass tone. I really do. Like I like that a lot, and not too many people do. They loved it when he went back to the jazz. But yeah, I liked it.
But ironically, listening to Exit Stage Left the other day, live Rickenbacker through, I assume, an Ampeg system at that point, 1977. Sounded great live.
Yeah, but like Michael Cross said, Entwistle bi-amped, Geddy Lee bi-amped, Chris Squire bi-amped. I've heard about George Porter Jr.
They saw the Presto tour. Nice.
So, but
which I believe is what the Show of Hands live album was based off.
I think is from that tour. Yeah,
I think
because I think Life.
I have a lot of '80s Rush. I don't have much in the way of '70s Rush, but I have a lot of '80s Rush.
I have pretty much all of it. I'm a bass player. You kind of have to. It's required. It's like have this. It's like I have all of that.
Well, Alex was always a confusing guitar player to me at that time. Most of his solos are complete gibberish. Like gibberish. That's the only way to describe his. It literally, like his acceptance speech at the Hall of Fame with a blah 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 blah. That's what his guitar solo was. Blah 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 blah, wingly blah blah, showing off Flash.
See,
it was comical.
One of my favorite
live. You can hear his comedy coming through his playing.
One of my favorite live guitar solos is his live La Villa Strangiato from Exit Stage Left. I love that when he does that Spanish piece on electric. And he's screaming on that. What is it? A 345? I guess it's not a 335. Whatever it is.
335.
Was it a 335?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he had several over the years, but his first was a white 335, and then
whatever he used on that. But I mean, that thing just.
Which again, real can 335s rock?
Yep.
Rush.
Yeah.
Rush.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And yes, my sister is buying tickets for my niece Sam's very first rock concert. She's going to go see April Wine opening for Triumph. Oh, it's complete gibberish, Chris. You listen to it, like the amount of flutters on the trim and stuff.
I don't know. I'm leaning towards Chris on this. Like getting back to Power
It's very
Windows, like
technical.
the
It's
big money
very
guitar
mobile.
solo. Yeah,
But
I
for a
think
guy who was nothing but hardtails living in the pentatonic world through the 70s, it's amazing how his playing changed. And then all these, as I would call them all through high school, Alex Lifeson chords, while Getty's doing some crazy bass, he comes in with, this hanging modulation bass, stereo chorus,
Yep.
fling! And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. Fling!
But I think Michael Krause is right. It really is Steve Hackett crossed with Andy Summers. Yeah, I that's in a nutshell. But I thought the solo in Big Money wailed, and he was using that Hentor Sportscaster thing that he put together, that parts caster that I guess
and then later,
Godin makes it now, right?
On my bucket list that you never see as an actual signature guitar before I went with PRS in the 90s.
Yeah, he said those things were bad though. He said he said he liked the tone of them, but he said the signatures weren't really that playable.
And you can't. Nobody had them. Like nobody sold them. It's like his fucking Lurks shit.
Yeah.
He makes it. Nobody has it because nobody can get it.
I've never seen. Once in a while I'll see a Lado in the wild, but I've never seen
that
a
was
signature.
If anybody needs a Lado in their life, it's you, sir.
The
Lado bass.
unicorn bass, the unicorn bass,
there's
the Steve
the
Harris
early Lado, which is very much 70s BC Rich, and then there's the later Lado, which is very much later BC Rich.
Yeah, that was Billy Blaney. That was his GK days. Yeah.
Yeah, like so much of the sound is just clean, like DI sound. I thought, wow, they must have used not a lot of actual gear recording those albums. Like Getty sounds like he's playing direct into the board half the time using outboard gear, and it sounds like Alex is doing the same fucking thing.
Whatever they had at Lay Studio, that's what they used, I guess. And now Lay Studio was burned to the ground.
And those albums were done at Metalworks as well, because they did a bunch of albums at Metalworks.
And Eric Holmes got a Steve Harris shout out. I cannot believe how fast he can play on flat wounds, because I have a precision bass with flat
But
wounds.
would flat wounds be easier on the fingertips when you're playing 30,000 notes?
I guess because they're higher tension, and maybe it's just
and
because
smoother. I'm just thinking, like grating on
they're
yourself.
smoother. Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe its own thing because I can play his stuff. I just can't play his stuff, ironically, on the one bass that I have set up like his. Like I've got two. I don't like P basses, so I built two P basses. I'm not a fan of every iconic bass. I don't like P basses.
But I'm like that's. Yeah. I don't like Tellys or Les Pauls. It's
no,
like, wow,
I don't like. I don't like
recorded music right there.
I don't like P basses. I don't like jazz basses. I don't like Music Man basses, and that's why I did that video on the Sandberg bass I have, which is kind of like my answer to a Stingray, just because I started out playing PV basses, and they had really slim necks and a really weird radius. Yep, Chris. I don't. I mean, I don't.
Like, all right, but do you like jazz basses?
Nope. Don't like jazz basses either. I only
have so no P, no J.
The only jazz bass I own that I play is the one I built. That's the one with the graphite fretboard and the aluminum neck because I could build it to what I wanted. Yep.
I was like, so a 5-string Fender bass might work because neck would be bigger.
No, I've got a 5-string. I've got a 5-string jazz actually. I've got a 5-string jazz clone made by oh God, who is it? Not Tokai. I can't think of their name. Anyway. But I've got a 5-string jazz, and it's all right. I bought it during COVID.
Okay.
I need so.
You have to play it. You have to play a show. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do a setup on the bass part, but you have to play a P bass, a jazz bass, or a Rickenbacker. Which one do you choose?
Jazz bass.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can't. Oh, no one should play a Rickenbacker.
Well,
there's just.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you have to set it up. Like it's at least it's already set up. Like somebody's already done that struggle.
I don't think you can set up a Rick. Like the thing is, P basses are good basses. Jazz basses are good basses. Stingrays are good basses. I just don't happen to like them.
I think I prefer a P bass because the necks are a little wider
Yeah, see, the narrower string, the neck on a jazz bass is better. There's nothing good about a
Yeah, I find your
Rickenbacker.
jazz bass too
I
narrow.
can't I can't find anything good about a Rickenbacker. I just think,
No.
and I know there are people that love them. I just think they are ripping off their customers. It's like this is a $2,500 bass.
What's worse, a Ricky or a Hofner, though?
Oh wow.
Right?
Wow. They're both incredibly expensive and impossible to play.
And pretty much a
Ah,
garbage product.
oh wow. Uh, you know what? That's the one bass I'd
I
take a
would
Rick over.
guarantee if Paul
I would.
McCartney didn't play a Hofner, they'd be out of business by the end of the 60s.
Oh yeah, they'd be long gone. You know, that would be the one bass I'd pick a Rick over a Hofner. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Wow. They are bad, and they're like $2,700, and that's
Mhm.
what I paid for a JD handmade British bass.
Ooh, now here's the question. Now we know Rickenbacker isn't the largest producer per capita per year because
Nope.
he insists on shooting nitro in California right there. So, but the question is, are they one of the companies where they probably make an inordinate more basses than guitars? Like
I would
Fender, for
guess.
instance, Fender probably makes way more Tellys and Strats than they
Oh
do
yeah.
E&J basses.
Oh yeah. I bet
Um,
you that the only two
Gibson,
companies,
it's not even. There's no point even talking Gibson because nobody buys Gibson basses.
and nor should they.
Or I don't even
But
know if they make them. You find the Epiphone versions
no,
of their
they
basses,
still
but
make
you
the
rarely. I
Thunderbird.
don't think you ever see a Gibson
Nope,
bass.
they still make the Thunderbird. I played a
Well,
brand
yeah,
new Thunderbird yesterday at Guitar Center, and I'm like, maybe
I
I
was in
should.
that
It was the non-reverse, so it was a little better.
guy. Okay.
So the neck dive wasn't bad, but it still played like ass. It's like even without the neck
So it's set up
dive,
for Mickey Six then.
it still plays like ass.
Yeah, like you.
But I bet you, I would like to see. I bet you they sell more basses than guitars at Rick.
I bet you they do these days. Like, who's playing Rickenbacker guitars? Like, unless you're doing an REM tribute or a Tom Petty tribute,
Yeah, or
that's
the,
kind of it.
or the Birds. If anybody's
Or the
doing
Bird.
anything.
If anybody's still doing Birds tributes,
And I'll bet you Michael Krause is right. I'll bet you before they had Eddie, Music
Oh,
Man
yeah.
did more basses.
oh yeah,
You know, and then they
Well,
got some momentum with Eddie,
they
and
were
now.
already involved with Albert Lee before Eddie, I think,
But how
and
many
possibly the
guys were?
Lukather.
But how
might
many
even
guys
be.
were really into Albert Lee? Like how many guys were? I
Well,
mean, he's a
they
great
might look
player.
at their guitar. No offense, Chris. I know you have one, but in the grand scheme of things, similar to Albert Lee, like how many guitars are each of them moving product-wise per year?
What's
Well,
not just that
Albert
Albert Lee
would
was
probably
weird
sell
looking.
more product if it wasn't such a fucking ugly guitar. First of all, because there's that.
The Albert Lee guitar was really pretty hideous, but so was the what is it? I can't think of the model. The Steve Morse signature is pretty ugly.
It is
Mid
too.
'90s, made in Mexico jazz. And Stu Ham here. Oh, the Stu Ham Urge bass. I always wanted one of those. And they were another one that had really bad QC. Phil McKnight has one of the Urge basses, and apparently the electronics in them ate themselves. They had this weird EQ system, and they kind of ate themselves. Which is sad.
Yeah, they did kind of corner the market on electric 12s because, well, holy shit. Okay, so you want to play an electric 12 live. For the longest time, now I know there's a handful of others out there, unless you can find the unicorn Fenders, you're stuck with either playing a Ricky or a fucking Dane Electro.
Yeah.
Like, neither are a pleasant experience.
Oh, Laz is on here. Spectre basses are awesome, and it's weird. I was thinking, I can't afford the US ones, but I thought, maybe I'll buy the Euro. It's sad the Euro Spectres are now over $3,000. But
It's not a bad
Spectre
choice.
I bet you I don't know if Yamaha sells more basses than guitars now, because the
with the relaunch of the RevStar,
sells really good, and the RevStar is cheaper. Like the thing
and
about
they've always
Yamaha,
sold a shit ton of like Pacificas because they're a great
Yeah.
entry level guitar,
yeah.
and acoustics.
But
among
and
others.
Yamaha's signature basses are all crazy expensive. The Nathan East basses are crazy expensive. the Patitucci 6 strings are really pricey,
I was
and
looking at, of all
that
things, Rob.
Sheehan bass is crazy expensive
Yes.
too, and weird as hell to play. I've played a few of those, and man, they are definitely set up for Billy Sheehan. No bass needs a scalloped neck unless you're into hammer-ons. Like, unless you're gonna neck tap on bass.
Yeah,
I've never
no.
played a scalloped. I think it's above the 15th fret. It's like or above the 14th fret. It's only the treble half of the neck.
Yeah, it's half the fretboard.
Yeah, it's
the last
very,
7 frets or
it's
something like that.
very weird.
It's
It's
weird.
a best bass for 1500. Um, let's see here. If I had to pick one bass, I could do anything with for 1500. Believe it or not, and this is where I also get yelled at too.
US, that's like 25 Canadian. You get a lot of it.
You can get a lot. I would take, believe it or not, the Schecter J4. It's Schecter's version of the jazz bass. I think Schecter makes a better jazz bass at that price
I'll
than
take
Fender.
the affordable version of the Stingray.
I don't know. I'd go with the jazz. Like I said, I'm not.
I didn't mind them. Now I played the real one, and it did play better, but it was like it reminded me like a made in Mexico P bass as opposed to American P bass. Like it's in the definitely in the ballpark. But what I saw the other day, and I kind of fell in love with, all things, was an upright piano by Yamaha. And when I looked closely, a whole row of digitals just embedded in it. I'm like, oh, but you could do the player piano thing.
Oh,
and I'm
great.
like, I kind of like that, because then I feel like I'm in the saloon all of a sudden. And I'm like, this could be a whole vibe. So
mayhem. But I think, for under 1500, and I think that bass goes for like about 1100. But yeah, I think the best jazz bass under 1500 is made by Schecter. There's a new, and the new Ibanez has their new line of basses that came out. Lakeland stuff's really good. The Lakeland high-end basses are really nice. Yeah, Lakeland makes good stuff.
You know who you used to hit a lot of basses in the 80s, and you don't see now? Area Pros.
They were pretty bulletproof. I mean,
they were the Ibanez bass, like the sound gear before sound gears kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were. Oh, Schecter makes great stuff. The 8-string that I have is a Schecter.
Too, in many ways,
they did. My 8-string is a Schecter. Schecter makes the only decent 8-string bass for under crazy money.
Area Pro basses back in the day, and you just don't see them around anymore. Like
all those brands. Area Pro and Washburn.
There's a shit ton of them sitting in closets. Yeah. Either that or they've just folded in half by now. One or the other.
I don't know how they were built long term, but yeah, Area Pro 2 and Washburn.
Well, I'm just picturing that one in a gig bag leaning against the corner in the closet, which is not going to help the action.
Since 1989.
Yeah, so it's got all that headstock pressure for decades. Does Sire sell more basses than guitars? I don't think so, because Larry Carlton alone has 14,000 models of Sire guitars.
Sire makes great stuff too, though. That's another pick. I didn't think of that. Sire's jazz basses are nice at that price.
I thought the pickups sound like garbage on the guitars.
Well, I haven't played any of their guitars. I've played the Marcus Miller jazz bass, which is what the Sire signatures. Maybe Sire. Yeah, Sire or Schecter. I would give Sire or Schecter in that price range, and I'm leaning towards Schecter. I think I'd give it the nod.
Sire, I replaced the pickups. Great guitar, but that was definitely the weak link for me.
I never played. I think the idea that the Larry Carlton, that weird, what was it? It was like a Strat with a Gibson
He's got
scale.
Literally dozens of models.
That one I remember.
Because I looked out, because I went to play one. It came in used along McQuaid.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, Sire, Larry Carlton, used, this price. I'm like, okay. Well, that's not a lot of info to go on. So then I went to the Sire website, and I'm scrolling, looking for the right combination of pickups and bodies. Multiple body shapes, multiple pickup combinations, multiple colors. I was like, okay, so Larry is clearly getting half the company here.
Larry and Marcus Miller.
And I keep thinking to myself, is Larry Carlton that big a deal to warrant a dozen plus signature models by any company?
I don't know, Terry. I've never seen a Tom Anderson bass. I've seen
Yeah, but
I
custom job, like
maybe custom
people
stuff.
build them,
Yeah.
but because I want to say I remember seeing people playing them, but in documentaries way back when. Again, it'd be like you're watching Clapton's playing Montreux Jazz Festival in '93, and somebody's playing bass for him, playing a Tom Anderson bass, which looks like a P bass. Right down the headstock until you get close. It's like Tom
It's Tom
Anderson.
Anderson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are
Like,
tons of
like John
companies.
Stewart was doing the same thing,
Yeah.
and Glazer, all those guys, ghost building guitars back in the day. They didn't do different headstocks. They did, so on stage from the crowd, it looked the exact same. I do not remember that, Billy.
I remember Valley Arts doing like some crazy expensive signatures like that. I don't. I've never seen any of those in the wild. Valley Arts, Tom Anderson, any of them.
I haven't seen any Tom Anderson guitars since the last time I was at Cosmo Music, which is no longer in business. So my chance of seeing a Tom Anderson in the flesh is slim to nil.
Jazz bass kind of clone. There's a lot of bands that do. I did. It's weird. I played a Sadowski jazz bass next to, let's see, a Sadowski. They had a used Sadowski and they had a used Kiesel jazz bass out at my little rinky-dink guitar center. And I hate to say it, for like a lot less money, the Kiesel was every bit as good as the Sadowski. Now, you didn't get that crazy Sadowski preamp thing, which is, I guess, a big part of it.
Well, it's kind of like buying a Tyler, right? You're buying as much for the electronics as the guitar.
That's a thing. But I mean, for pure playability, I wasn't buying either one of them. Like I said, because I'm not a giant jazz bass guy. But the Kiesel played just as well. And I hate saying that because Jeff Kiesel is an immense tool. But that Vader headless bass he makes is probably, bang for the buck, the best headless bass out there for that price. Like, they really are great basses. He's just such a tool, so you got to be like Bo.
I get that, Joe. Yeah, because I played a few Anderson Snow complaints, but I didn't vibe with them. I played a couple too, and this was like, I don't know, like I guess it was on par with like a Sir, or which was on par with like the custom shop from Fender, but then the price tag reflects it. Like if you're paying $5,000, it's going to play like a $5,000 Strat or Telly.
Like Matt's in there talking about that 5-string Dingwall. I'm sure was $5,000 new. But that's the problem. Like, you could spend $5,000 on a Dingwall, and then you get $2,500 for it used on trade, and they'll sell it for $3,000.
Full tone collab should happen.
Kiesel full tone. Just the most. Although I guess, I mean, is Jeff really the brainchild behind Kiesel, or is it his like uncle or dad or whatever? Like some people say,
they're still living off the popularity of Carvin in many ways.
I don't know. I mean, they make a good product, but I don't know if it's Jeff's the media.
I don't know. I've never played one. I know people that have them. I have no desire to play one. They've just bugged me in a variety. They've gotten under my skin for a variety of reasons over the years, up to and including having a fucking NAMM booth when you only sell direct to the public at a trade show that is closed to the public.
That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. The fuck?
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. So that right there.
Yeah. Like I said, their basses that I've played have always been really, really good. They really have been. And the Vader, if you want a dynamite, especially the 5-string, the Vader headless is a great 5-string headless. Especially now, I don't do the fan fret stuff.
Ooh, Ed Roman for the collab too. Yes.
Ed
No, you just called customer support for the previous collab. You get Ed Roman for customer support. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think that's actually it. Yeah, I think his dad,
it makes sense that they're at NAMM now, Michael Cross, because they actually opened up to the public on the last day. So at least that, But they're just there to try to make YouTubers drool or reel in a rock star that's walking around going, I like guitars. So there's that.
I never liked Jackson basses. The Jackson makes that weird
I'm
thing
thinking
that
the only
looks
people
like a
I can only
Rick.
think of two people that played Jack. No, three people that
Dave
played
Ellefson
Jackson bass.
has a Jackson signature, but there's
Dave,
nothing.
it was number one on my list. I want to say Rick Savage plays them,
Huh? That's possible.
like as well as some of his
And
Hamers
I
and stuff.
like Def Leppard, but
But again,
nobody
it's basically
was.
it's a P bass with a
It's an
Jackson
eighth note.
headstock.
Yeah.
And the other
Right.
one being, if you find any footage of jamming of the Traveling Wilburys, Bob Dylan's playing a Jackson bass of all things. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, I'm like, of all things, you think he would pull out an old Ricky or something, but clearly he's like, I need a bass. He sent someone to the Hollywood Guitar Center, buy me a bass.
Grab
So they
the
bought him a
bass.
Jackson bass. So it's just like,
Well, that was like where somebody in the chat a couple months ago, they were like, they went to see Steve Earle back in like '89, and Steve Earle's bass player had a Steinberger, you know, which is just awesome.
right?
You know, presumably cigarette stained, but he had one. So I don't know.
Well, makes
But
for easy travel.
so I don't know that Jackson thing. That it's half a Jackson
Who's
with a
Charvel
Rick.
basses? You don't
With
see
a
Charvel basses around.
What's that? Which one?
Charvel basses. It's got to be a Charvel.
You know who played? I think it was a Charvel. It was a really expensive one. Jack Blades from Night Ranger. Jack Blades played this incredibly expensive Charvel. It was a really weird. It had like two. It was like a Les Paul bass. It had two humbuckers, and it was a 32-inch scale. So he played a Charvel, but Steinberger guitar. Okay, that's it. Was it Michael Krause? Maybe it was Michael I was talking to. Steve Earle, Guitar Town. He's playing a Steinberger too. Um, but I can see David Allen Coe playing a dime bag. That would fit. But yeah, that weird Rick, that Jackson bass that's got like a pickup cover from a Fender with a Rick sort of look.
Oh,
that
yeah. The
with
weird
yeah,
hybrid Ricky.
that's an
Jackson.
abomination.
Yeah, they have one at the Belleville along McQuaid. It came in, I'm like, good fucking luck selling that.
They sell it. People buy it. I don't know why. It's one of the few ugly instruments I look at and say, no, that's ugly. Like, I love every ugly instrument. I look at that and say, no, that's ugly.
It was pretty hideous.
Charvel Pro Mod San Dimas bass PJ at L&M. That might not be too bad. I don't know. I've other than that weird custom Charvel, I don't know a lot about Charvel basses. Hamer used to make some great basses beyond the Explorer. That cruise bass they made was nice. I mean, Hamer made some great stuff back in the day. Oh, Guild Pilot bass. I remember when those came out because they were the first bass that had active pickups in them that you could afford. The Guild had active EMGs, and it had the weird like P bass pickup flipped over, I think. And it also took like the weird shape of a jazz bass body and made it even weirder. But yeah, the Guild Pilot bass, that thing had a moment back in the 80s. Yeah, because that was the first bass you could get with active pickups that wasn't like an alembic. You could actually afford that thing. Oh yeah, so yeah, Hamer made that 12 string for Tom Peterson and for Doug Pinnick. But that was like their super custom line, like kind of like the Night Ranger guy's bass. But yeah, that Jackson bass is horrific. Yeah, that thing is just awful. But yeah, the cruise bass was another PJ
I only
bass.
want to know why a touring band is stopping at Long Way to rent a bass, Zach. But
Rent
if any
a
band
bass?
would, it'd be them, considering I openly mocked their bass player when I saw them live.
Rent a bass.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not fucking surprised. Although his bass was down for repairs and he needed something to play that night. But I just remember when I saw him, he decided to be all cool wearing his bass low like Nikki Sixx around his hip. But he played round wound strings with a pick at an angle. So it didn't matter what he was
Click,
fretting. It
click,
sounded
click,
like the same
click,
pick slide every time.
Click, 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 click.
And I was like, and so the frontman, there'd be a pause, and we were like standing third, fourth row. And he's like, hey, everybody having a good time? I'm like, no, your bass player sucks. And I get an elbow in the ribs from my fiance.
Well,
And I'm like, what? I'm like, it's a sporting event. You can heckle. And it's like, tell your bass player to learn how to play and not use a pick. Either that or switch the flat wounds. And he could hear me, Rob. And the fact that I'm like telling him should switch the flat wounds, blah, blah. And he's just like looking at me like, holy fuck, dude, like you're really riding me hard. And by the end, before the end of the set, I was dragged out of there. I've never been so embarrassed in my life. I'm like, I had a fucking blast. I openly knocked a professional bass player to the point where he did not. He moved to another part of the stage. He just
left. I've got a wireless. I've got a wireless for this reason, and Chris is going to find a Parker bass. I remember the Parkers were popular for like a couple of years because they made a 5-string. But the 5-string had a high C on it. So.
Zach's not the same thing. What the fuck are you doing writing a bass? Well,
But I remember, the Parker Flies. There were a couple of years when the Parker Flies were popular as basses, just because they're 5-string. Like I said, they had the high C instead of the low B. I've never heard of a Ricky bass, Mark Taft. Or you mean like a Rickenbacker, a 69 Rickenbacker? Okay.
His friend Ken had a 69 Ricky.
Well, even the new Rickenbackers, they have a slightly better bridge. And I looked at it, and it's like, so you've gone from 1965 to 1975. It's like, this is better than what you had, but this is still crap. I'm just like, the business model is great. Every single Rick made sells for exactly the price that they want. The business model is brilliant. But the instruments are awful. I
haven't watched it yet, but I'm pretty sure I think it's Dave putting a Babbitt's bridge on a Rickenbacker, and I'm like, well, that's probably the best bass bridge in the world, but it's still not going to help a Rickenbacker.
The Hipshot one's nice. I watched that. The Babbitt's one was weird. It was better than the Rick bridge, but I don't think the Babbitt's was better. Yeah, I don't think the Babbitt's was any better than the new Rick bridges. They're pretty similar. The Hipshot is nice. And then the only thing that might be as bad as the Rick bridge is the 3-point bridge on Gibson's, the old Thunderbird, and that thing. Yeah, that was...
Well, and did they not do like a 335 style semi-hollow bass?
Oh, yeah, they did. I've never played one because I don't really like short scale.
I think for some reason, Fender in the not too distant past did basically the Starcaster equivalent.
Yep.
Which I was like, hey, let's make something that nobody fucking asked for.
One company's bad idea, but we'll make
it work. A semi-hollow bass. It's not going to resonate. It's semi-hollow. It needs to be fully hollow to even try to resonate, which it won't.
They put it on the Epi Thunderbirds, too. Okay, yeah, that 3-point bridge is hideous. I have a badass bass bridge that was actually cut to replace those things. I knew a guy who had an actual template made for fixing Gibson basses, where he turned the bass bridges that were made by Leo Kwan, the badasses, and he would retrofit them to Gibson basses. Those 3-points were so bad. Oh,
so bad.
I've never heard of Man.
Man was a Japanese import knockoff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, a lot of knockoff instruments were hollow bodies. I don't know why, but that seemed to be a thing,
Because they're made of such shitty heavy wood.
Maybe that's it.
Way less.
Yeah, maybe
Which
that's
is why we got the thin line telly to begin with, because Leo was by that point, CBS was buying cheaper wood that weighed more.
Yeah.
Which first started with the smuggler tellies, where they were routing out everything under the pick guard. And they realized that still wasn't enough, so then they just routed the whole upper half and capped it.
Yep. Ooh, yeah, those were heavy.
Semi-hollow with a giant mud bucker. Yeah.
Nothing like the clarity of a neck-mounted mud
and pick a lane pickup. A lot of let's put it right in the middle. That's like a telly bass.
Yeah.
No, neck or bridge. Pick a fucking lane. Yep. Nobody wants just a middle pickup in anything.
Well, that was the Music Man. Leo Fender claimed that the sweet spot was the Music Man humbucker position.
Which was basically a bridge pickup. It wasn't middle or neck.
Yeah. It definitely has a neat
Well, Leo
sound.
cleaned a lot of fucking things, but...
Yeah. Well,
Some
I
he
mean,
got
let's
right,
face it.
some
Yeah.
he did not.
But you know what? Probably.
Tremolo is vibrato, vibrato is tremolo. I know you've been dead for decades, but it still pisses me off.
Yeah, vibrato is vibrato. Tremolo's volume. Yeah, I know. Semi-hollow and 30-inch scale. I can't do short scale basses. They just feel like toys to me. I just
Right?
can't. I
But
could
yeah,
maybe.
like you couldn't play a Gretsch bass.
No, I've
Like,
tried. I might be able to do a 32-inch, but I don't think I could do a short scale.
I don't think
Other
that.
than the Squire Bass 6, obviously. That's fun because that's its own weird thing.
That's its own abomination.
That's its own weird thing. And the ultimate abomination I'd love to own just because this is by far the worst bass idea ever. Talking about Leo Fender's failures, the Fender Bass 5, not the Bass 6, the Bass 5. It had a high C and it only had 15 frets. Look it up online.
Really?
It is the most. They made it for like 2 years and then they pulled it off the market. But yeah, I would love to find one. It had a weird, it had this weird like half Mustang, half P-bass pickup. And it had a high C, and then the rest of it was EADG, high C, and 15 frets. It is the ugliest. John Paul Jones owns one, and there's a couple of videos.
Yeah, he's got an eclectic collection himself.
He does. John Paul Jones has one, but the Fender Bass 5, they're worth like 30 grand if you have one. They're the most valuable basses you
It
can
was like
own.
the first guy of note that was really rocking a jazz bass when everyone else was still rocking P basses in the 70s.
He might have been. Yeah, he might have been. I'm trying to think who was.
Because I always picture John Paul
Oh,
Jones.
Entwistle.
Led
Entwistle
Zeppelin.
had jazz basses too. Of course,
Okay.
Entwistle had everything under the sun.
Yeah, because anybody that brought out a new product, the first thing he did was give a free one to John Entwistle
Oh, yeah.
to see if he'd play it.
Yeah. Oh, when he had his auction, when his son auctioned off his gear.
Oh, I can just imagine his warehouses of stuff.
Yeah, he had so much stuff, it was selling for less than it cost new. They were selling like, I wish I knew at the time, like cases of Maxima bass strings for like $40. I mean, he was the ultimate pack rat. Well, in this case, Michael Krause, there's nothing above the 15th fret. That's the top of the neck. It's the weirdest looking thing. The Fender Bass 5, Leo Fender's worst idea. And maybe he didn't design it, but he greenlit it. It was one of the last things he did before he left Fender. It was greenlit the Bass 5. And it is the
Like
ugliest
a rare
instrument.
Bronco bass. It's like a Mustang bass, but worse.
$6,000 to $10,000. That sounds about right, Terry. For four.
Well, yeah,
There you
but, yeah, that they are a 50-plus-year-old that sold like shit. So,
Yep.
and Joe Von Massa already has 3 of them. So good luck. Yeah.
And none of them were made in 1970.
And I bet
They
you
sat
of
in
the 4 that are
warehouses.
listed are 3 of them in Japan, and the other one's like Sweden.
Two in the
US,
UK.
two in
Two in the UK.
Would not
two
have guessed
in
that. It always seems like Japan and then
Japan.
Sweden for some reason.
Sweden, because we miss
Every time I
Hagstrom.
find something cool, I'm like, oh, that's a reasonable price. Then you look, and it's like the same price again for shipping from fucking Sweden.
Bass 5 and FU to CBS. I don't know. Technically, they are CBS era, but I mean,
Yeah.
all the quote unquote pre-CBS basses I played were 66s because they were still pre-CBS. They were just not sold till 66. So that whole pre-CBS thing is weird.
Yeah, it's basically 67, 68 is where you start getting
Yeah.
into quality issues.
Yeah.
And even then, quality issues, really what we're talking about is slightly substandard woods and hardware, but in the grand scheme of things, still better than stuff being used modern production.
Well, and that's why I think the basses were better quality longer because it was you didn't have tremolos to worry about. You know what I mean? And I think the hardware, just by being bigger and heavier, you have more margin for error. You know, because like I said, everything I played a couple because if it's true pre-CBS, they won't let you touch it. At least not me. Maybe I don't look trustworthy. But I mean, all the stuff I played were 66s, and I played 266 jazz basses, 266 P basses, and they played good. But I mean, I wouldn't take one over a modern bass for what they cost. Greatest bass song other than Big Bottom or Teen Town?
I have
Big Bottom. Let's see. I would say, well, I gotta. So I can throw Jocko in because Teen Town's technically Weather Report.
oh dear Lord.
Bach's Chromatic Fantasy by Jaco Pastorius. I love anyone who talks about like the neo. Oh no, we're talking a bass song, not a bass guitar.
No, I know, but that's
Oh.
the bass 5.
Oh my god, that is. I never saw one with the block inlays.
Yeah, just to make it more hideous, a maple fretboard with block inlays, which is my least favorite of all.
And it's still got the pickup cover. Oh, that one's very rare. Most of them don't have the pickup cover. That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's the bass
Thanks,
5.
Bill.
That's the bass 5. Fender 5.
Yeah.
A budget Sire a guy at a band tried to have was the best bass ever had played as far as like. The Sire
All right,
stuff's
so
great.
best bass song for me will be Tommy the Cat.
Les Claypool's such a weird player.
So, I love that groove.
He's really good. His stuff is so. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still going with Chromatic Fantasy. I just like it. I mean, just the whole like, neoclassical kind of. Not gonna lie, kind of want one. You know what, Matt? Yeah, I could see you doing something with that. Nothing. Barney Miller theme. That was what's his name? Oh, I can't think of his name. The bass player from Rancid. Really nice guy. Has a great bass channel. Matt Freeman. Matt Freeman, his whole bass career started learning the Barney Miller theme, which I think is an E. It's like an E up to an F octave study, if I remember. Yeah, everyone learned the Barney Miller theme.
Jerry was race car driver.
Jerry's race car driver. But yeah, I think
just Tommy the Cat. It's got such a groove. Like it just holds.
No, I think Chromatic Fantasy, because at the end of it, he does this weird chordal thing. Not weird, he does this whole chordal thing. And then the full orchestra comes in. That would be mine, I think. Boy, there's so many, though. But yeah, I think Chromatic Fantasy, that's just a... Yes, that was not... Although you can do it on bass. It takes a lot of work to do the Seinfeld theme on bass. You can do it, but it's a keyboard part. But
Notice neither of us mentioned a Rush tune for the greatest bass song.
Geddy Lee's a great bass player.
But it's such an ensemble thing. Like it
is.
They all have their parts to play.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's different than Stanley Clarke, or Victor Wooten,
Yeah, and if I want to go technical, I'll go with Primus's Is It Luck? Fuck, that's insane.
Some of the Primus stuff I like is just some of the odder stuff. Like, it's an upright and it's Arco, it's bowed, but like something like Mr. Kringle I like too. That's a weird one. If you remember that, where he's doing upright. That was a cool one.
Well, and I honestly, to this day, I enjoy listening to Primus because I can listen any other band I listen to, and I'm like, oh, the guitar player's doing this and he's doing this. I have no fucking clue what's happening in a Primus song. Like, if I showed up and they're like, you want to jam? I'm like, okay, and then just stand there. Because I have no idea. What key are you playing in? I think I know the time signature. Beyond that, no idea. When
I was out at the musical
instrument, Blair does, I have no fucking clue.
One of the numerous times work sent me to Phoenix for the summer because they hate me and want me to die. When I went to the Musical Instrument Museum, which is north of Phoenix. If anyone ever gets the chance to go to Phoenix, hit the Musical Instrument Museum. It is awesome. But they had a Primus exhibit there, and they had Primus's percussion kit. And I sat behind it, and I'm just like, I don't even know what half of these things do.
With this like a low snare.
Like all these weird,
the snare is like...
Yeah, all these...
Deeper dish pizzas than his snare drum.
It was the weirdest percussion kit.
But it works.
Oh, yeah, but I just looked at it and I'm like, I have played with a lot of drummers, but everything here looks weird.
And that was the thing with the weird kit.
So strange.
Les Claypool talks about it in the Beato interview, and he's like, they all show up and he bought the kit to record the album with, and they're like, what the fuck is this weird ass fucking kit? And then with a piccolo snare, but then with Primus music, that kit makes sense.
It worked.
It's sort of like, and I never noticed it, but go figure with Neil Peart with Rush, like you listen to some of those 80s albums, he's using 3 and 4 snares in an album.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of the kit is essentially the same unless for a specific part or a certain song, like the one, like, he's playing Simmons drums for this one song because that's what it.
That's when it was recorded.
Really? Oh, fuck. Okay. You know.
And then you look at the guys he studied with. Like, he studied with Peter Erskine, who was the drummer with Jocko and Weather Report. And you look at Peter Erskine's kit, that's this, like, straight-ahead Slingerland jazz thing, and it's like,
yeah,
wow.
Minimalistic and... What's up, Braxel?
I had a steak tonight.
I did not. Steak.
I had a steak.
Tonight. The last thing I need is a big chunk of meat. Laz is back here.
Laz is reverting to lurking. So.
Well, we're going to go a little while longer here, folks. This has been an awesome hang. Tomorrow night, back with Canucks with guitars. I'll play some music. Rob will be back for some bad album covers. That'll be, well, disturbing.
Scary album covers.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah, therapy-inducing, perhaps.
A lot of that stuff, yeah, Mike, the Jackson 5 stuff, James Jamerson's on a lot of that.
Yeah.
And then the guy who took over, I can't think of his name,
What's up, Jason?
was on some of that too. All the Motown bass players were effing monsters, man. All those studio guys in the 60s and early 70s. Man, they were all scary.
Right.
You know, I wish somebody would find Jamerson's bass. That's the last lost bass that no one has been able to find. They found Jocko's Bass of Doom, but they've not found the Funk Machine. And I'd love to see it just because they said it was unplayable for anybody but Jamerson, because Jamerson never liked the electric bass. He was trained as an upright bass player.
Right.
And they said the thing had like 2 inches off the freaking neck. And I would just love to see it. You know, it's just like, and it disappeared when he was like back in his bad alcoholic days. But I wish they'd find that thing. They found a couple of his backup basses, but that's the last. I think it's like one of the last missing instruments.
If he was in a bad enough place, they could go to a pawn shop who then just sells it to someone else. And they have no idea the provenance of the bass that they own. They just see a well-used bass.
Yep. It's weird how much of that stuff surfaces. I mean, you've got, Peter Frampton got his guitar back after like 30 years. Jimmy Page got his back. Like, it's just weird how many of those instruments survived.
Right.
You'd think they'd all be in landfills somewhere. So maybe the Funk Machine will be found someday. It's possible.
Well, and that's the thing, especially now, because if it comes out, it's going to get documented, like wherever you take it, whatever point of sale, because it's a vintage piece of gear, right? So they're going to try, either they're not going to touch it, like if a pawn shop doesn't know nowadays, anything vintage, they just won't touch. Even Long and McQuaid, quite often, they won't touch vintage gear.
Huh. Really?
Because they don't know how, because all they can offer is the used going right on a used Strat, for instance.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, how do you assign a value to something like that requires... Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, so they would say direct you to a place, the appropriate. Yeah. So eventually it's going to go into the system, as it were, the database of the 50 to 100 knowledgeable people, and then if so it's going to end up, say, in a music store. Like if it's here, it's going to end up in a music store, which is going to probably be the 12th fret in Toronto. Well, guess what? Every gearhound that tours through Toronto hits the 12th fret.
Right there.
And if they're going to see, what's that? And we're like, well, we've managed to document it as far as it's this model, blah, 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 this year. They may not figure out the complete provenance, but then to someone like Joe Bonamassa, who is able to tap into networks and stuff, they're able to, put it through the internet Google machine and, look, we found a picture of this guy playing the same bass in 1963, and you're like,
Oh, and Johnny Winter's bass player, that might be Tommy Shannon. He went on to play with Stevie Ray Vaughan too, if it's the guy I'm thinking of. And he's a really good bass player too. He dropped out of
video actually right before the show tonight, the amplifiers of Stevie Ray Vaughan, and talk about the most boutique setup. Stevie's playing through two Dumbles. He's playing through at the point. And Tommy's also playing through a Dumble.
Oh, that I did not know.
Oh, yeah, with a 4x15 cap.
Oh, I did not
or
know
two by
that.
15 cab. I can't remember which, but he's
I don't
also
know.
played through. Yeah,
Huh.
and because for bigger shows, like when he did the national anthem at the Astrodome, he borrowed Tommy's Dumble because it's 300 watts instead of
Oh,
150.
I didn't
Because
know that.
yeah, so whenever Stevie needed to be loud, I'm like, well, he's already
When
loud, but it's like we need him to be
when wasn't he loud?
louder.
Oh, I
You
didn't
know,
know Tommy played a because yeah, all the stuff I saw of them, he was always playing through. He had that jazz bass he played forever, but he was always playing through PV gear because I think he had a deal with them. He had an
yeah,
endorsement, so they just handed him whatever he wanted. But I did not know he had a Dumble. Dumble did not make his first. I guess the first Dumble had was a bass head. They said, and he did make a
right.
handful of them.
Right,
But I
and it
don't.
was
I
when Stevie did his first album that he played through, Jackson Brown's Dumble,
yeah.
fell in love with it, said, hey, build me one. And that's when the Steel String Slinger came out for Stevie, which was basically, according to Bruce Ignator, who had to service it on the road, when he called Dumble to find, like, what am I getting into? Is it like just more or less it was an SVT that he was playing through. It was more akin to an SVT head, which I was like, that makes sense because when I was messing around with my Helix,
Mm-hmm.
I found I liked stacking amp heads instead of overdrive pedals. And an SVT into a Marshall JCM 800 is a wonderful tone.
Well,
So,
it's weird that you
yeah,
say that because I don't. They're great musicians, but I never really got into them. Um, but he it's I guess this is pretty well known. Skunk Baxter has deep roots in the intelligence community. He has a secret clearance.
yes, he
And
does.
I was at a conference he was at, and I got a chance to jam with him, and we were talking about Steely Dan, and he said the Elliot Randall, the guy who did the solo for Reelin' in the Years,
Mm-hmm.
that's done with an SVT and a Strat neck pickup PAF. So SVTs have better tone for guitar, I think, because
Keith Richards was played through
I
SVT
don't
for a
like
while.
Steely Dan at all, but that's a great guitar solo, and the tone is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Keith
mean,
in the early 70s was played through some
yeah,
Ampeg stuff in the studio. Whatever happened to most of Stevie's gear? I believe his brother ended up with most of it,
I think so. Oh, and Chris
including at
Glenn.
least one of the Dumbles, because one of the Dumbles is on display.
Mm.
They said
Well,
somewhere, like in a
like the
museum or something. But
Austin City Museum or something has a bunch
I
of
can't
them, or
remember. But it was
something
yeah
like
on
that.
loan from Jimmy.
And let's see, unfucking believable. One bass.
Ooh,
If I had to go just with one bass that I could use for
could have
everything,
that Honer PJ setup.
yeah, that'd be the
Covers all the
ultimate.
territory and
I
saves the
would,
back.
if I had to go with just one bass, I think I'd get a Spectre NS4. It's a PJ design, but I think you could. I mean, they're expensive as f. The American made ones, even a Euro one, I could get away with. But if I had to pick just one, I guess you need a fretless too. But one fretted four string for everything, I think would be a Spectre NS4.
Yes, Steve Ray Vaughan's was like a steel string singer through 412 with JBLs.
I have to shoot a video with that headless BC Rich at
Until
some
the
point,
falling out with
Kraus.
Dumble happened around '86, and then he went to using
Mhm.
Fender amps again
I mean, I
after he
think if
falling out with Dumble. So
right now, if I ditched all my basses, if I had to go down to one, it might be my Sandberg. My Sandberg Terra bass plays so well, and that's the Rammstein signature. It's supposed to be BEAD, but I have it strung standard,
I should
and
get
it
the
plays
offer
great.
of Matt, where Matt takes a standard strung thing and makes it lower tune,
Headless, yeah,
like converting into some kind of baritone.
yep.
Um, yeah, Rob went the opposite way, as one should, Matt. A440, it's where it's at.
And
Just
yeah,
saying.
Michael, I will do a video of that headless BC Rich at some point. I'm saving that
Your
to be
folk
like my
show. Yeah.
my last video. I see Tommy Shannon became his regular bass player, played Woodstock. Yeah, Shannon played with Sodano versus Ampeg. Yeah, I don't know how guitar amps. I don't know a lot about.
Ooh.
I mean, maybe Soldano is built on the Ampeg. See, this is what we need Jimmy Page
Um,
2 for. Jimmy could tell you all
no.
that.
Well, kind of, but no. Yeah. And welcome 100 TJL. Although that was the other thing. At the end of the Steve Ray Vaughan video, they end with the Soldano SLO 100 that Mike was building for Stevie when he passed away. And the idea was for him to play through it and then further tweak it from there. And I actually got to I got to play through that amp when I'm watching the documentary because I've only ever played through one Soldano, and it was the one built for Steve Ray Vaughan.
That's cool.
Because Mike Soldano was always like, "Do you want to play through it?" And not to sound gross, but I almost came right on the spot. Because yes, again, yes. What's up, J. Steen?
Saying hello to the 8
Thank
years.
you. Yes.
I've seen the specs on the Doug Pinnick Sig bass. I've never played it. He went away from the 12 string for a while. I know he was doing something different. Dastardly Dave forgot what's in his rack. That's a that's a scary thing.
Wow, that's right there, isn't it, Dave?
That's a good sized rack unit. Wow. I forgot what's in it.
Yeah. It's just always on. You just have that much outboard gear.
It's a heater too. It's always on and it heats the room basically.
Well, there is that. Yeah.
But yeah, Doug Pinnick's one of those guys who's never gotten the attention he deserves. And
he's still up there just doing it. The band never quite achieved that status where they made the big money so he could retire, I think. He's doing it, but it's either that or have to have some form of day job, because they've always been the support act or playing in a band, much like George Lynch is doing now. Although George, I think, could, he made a bit more money than Doug did over the years.
But so many of those guys, I read an interview, and Chris will toss in with this too. I found in the interview today, Roddy Bottom, who's the synth player, the keyboard guy from Faith No More. He's always kind of the most reticent to tour. The only reason he has any money, and it was really weird, he said, my money didn't come from Faith No More. He goes, we got our first big royalty check in wherever it was when Epic broke. He goes, I got a $12,000 royalty check, and for shits and giggles, I invested all of it in Apple. He invested in Apple when it was worth nothing. And he said, so from $12,000, I earned $7 million. He said, I'm still living off that. He said, I made more money off of it.
Well, like you say, even if you invest in Microsoft at that time.
Yeah, and
like any company, or AT&T, any company, if you're still around today that were around in 89, chances are your stock's gone up over time.
But if you think about it, it's Faith No More were successful. By the standards of most bands. And he's like, oh, no. He goes, no, the only reason I don't have to tour and break my back is because of the Apple investment. He goes, Faith No More didn't. We're not living off that.
No, they had a few hits, but really it was one album wonder, more than one hit wonder kind of a thing. And even then, most of the shows was, again, supporting. I don't know how much headline touring they did. It's not like, you get to the upper clubs or theaters and stuff, but it's very hard to fill like an NHL arena or NBA arena or let alone a stadium. Most people never hit stadium status, but to do arena level,
SWR were great bass amps too. Another company driven into the ground, Dastardly Dave. But yeah, Chris is right. On the Angel Dust tour, they headlined, but they weren't headlining giant arenas either. And then they did Full for a Day.
And a lot of those, you look at the stages damn near halfway across the arena. So really, they're using half the arena.
Yeah, but I think Angel Dust was kind of their peak because they did King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime, and that didn't really blow up like the other stuff. And then Album of the Year,
it did well, but it's nothing like that first. Well, can't call it the first of the third album. Really, it was their third album that broke. But
but it's just
showed up.
But Michael B's right. King for a Day is a great album, but no one really bid on it because Angel Dust was great too, and it was just weird. When they had the cheerleaders and stuff, I think that turned people off and some of those songs. But Yeah, Jim Martin. I thought Jim Martin was a big part of that band. I really
Very
do.
big. And
You
I
know,
don't know, did he do anything after? Like, I'm
believe it
sure
or not, he
he
became a competitive pumpkin grower. I kid you not. He was like the third place winner in the California competition pumpkin growing. I shit you not. There's a picture of him
well, because
without
I'm
the
thinking to myself, like,
sunglasses, hugging
wow.
a pumpkin the size of a Buick.
Like
So
most
he
of the
was,
time, like if you're in a big band, if it breaks up or you leave or whatever, you have that one project, and if it does well, fine, you continue in the business. If it doesn't, then you never heard from again, type thing.
yeah, he owned,
But
yes,
yeah,
very,
it seemed to me like he was one of those people. Like once it was done, he's like, "Yeah, I'm done." And then when they
yeah.
decided to try to get back together, he's like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Well, that's like Izzy Stradlin. I'm sure Izzy Stradlin's on a farm somewhere too. It's the same thing, you know. But yeah, he was a competitive pumpkin grower, which hey,
Always loved his tone, that heavy Marshall tone. It was just
I
good.
just liked the two pairs of sunglasses. I thought that was brilliant. Two pairs of sunglasses
Yeah.
because you might have. It just reminded me. I don't know if it came from this. It just reminded me of Lloyd Bridges from or whoever it was, an airplane. All right, it's time to get serious. And he threw off the sunglasses and he had the smaller pair. And I just thought that was where Jim Martin got it from. But I like I like
I
I
created
liked
something like towards like the music business, like rock stars are all cool with their sunglasses, so I'm gonna be really cool and wear two
two
pairs
pairs of sunglasses.
just
And
for
you
the
like
absurdity of it.
and they like growing beans. But yeah, I think they lost something because the problem was I don't want to get into Faith No More folklore, but I kind of thought he reined in Mike Patton. Like I
Yeah.
thought after he was pushed out and Mike Patton brought in the I can't think of his name, the guitar player from Mr. Bungle. But yeah, some people say it was Billy Gould, the bass player. That Billy Gould was the guy who pushed out Jim Martin. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
thought,
well, that was the one thing I liked about it is because it was five different directions all coming together for this one band.
yeah,
That was the cool thing about that band.
their drummer was like did all those really weird reggae and ska
Yeah,
rhythms and
you
stuff.
got clearly
Yeah,
got a metalhead on guitar.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's like okay, that's what I liked about it. It was so different,
yeah.
but
No, it was Mike. Chris is probably right. Chris knows, I think, a lot more about Faith No
not a
More than I
problem
do.
with
But
that.
but that Mike couldn't get along with them, and that's the thing. Like I mean, Mike Patton is brilliant, but he's a brilliant guy who sells 40,000 albums. Mike Patton is like the Velvet Underground. Like yeah, you know, people will. You have a clique of people who'll buy Tomahawk or Peeping Tom or Mr. Bungle.
Hmm.
But yeah, Faith No More was an amalgam of stuff, and yeah. So, but I think you do need those personality clashes. The Who are never any good. I hate to say it, I love the Who, but they were never any good after Keith Moon died. Eminence Front was good, but the It's Hard album was weak. Face Dances was weak. You know.
Hmm.
No, it was just promotion. They didn't get royalties for the videos. The videos were all done to drive album sales. They
Uh,
got they got
I think they paid the same as radio, like radio play. So it's pennies each time your videos play. You're getting pennies. Um, which was a nice little extra slice. But even that, yeah, because I
yeah.
think for broadcast standards, you would have to pay like radio.
But I
I
don't
read.
think they had the same rotation. Like I don't think MTV ever had they had a rotation, but I don't think it ever was like structured for royalties the same way. Maybe it was
No,
the same way that like radio stations were. I mean, and maybe they were, I don't know.
yeah, well, yes and no. It was weird. Because it's like instead of having like if you're in a decent sized city, you got four different radio stations. One's classical, one's jazz, one's country, one's rock, one's pop. All in the same. Whereas MTV was MTV. Like, sure, they had their shows,
Yeah.
like Headbangers Ball, but like it was similar with Much Music in Canada. It was great because literally it could be, like a Madonna song, followed by Faith No More, followed by Motorhead, followed by Debbie Gibson. Like you got it all. If a song was popular, they would play it. If it wasn't
Yeah.
popular, they wouldn't play you.
I just remember like the great thing about the early MTV was they would play anything. Like I would never have heard of Triumph if it wasn't for the early days of MTV where they would show anything. And all I remember is the video had a flying guitar. They were standing on an animated flying V, and I was like, "Oh, that video with that band with the flying guitar." You know, that's all I remember. Or Night Ranger, the "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" thing ran endlessly, and that was good for all kinds of bands, and they're now, MTV's dead, and
Oh yeah, for literally years, if there was nothing else on TV, I'd throw on Much Music, and that'd just be like having the radio on in the background.
yeah, and there's not an equivalent to that. And although it's kind of getting off the rails, like the last few weeks, Steve from Boston on his show has been playing all the AI songs he's had crafted.
Ugh.
And yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's a throwaway live stream, but it is kind of disturbing how good they're becoming. Like they're kind of like the stuff he's been playing is like Sammy Hagar VOA level stuff, and I'm like, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, Uncle Larry was talking about that when he was talking with his kids about it, with AI.
Yeah,
and they're like, in one hand, like, what's the point of practicing? AI can just do it.
Yeah,
and it's like, wow. And he's like, I don't think Much Music's still a thing, Michael Krause. I wouldn't know. I don't have cable TV anymore, so
does anyone have cable TV anymore? But it's sad. Like there's not a really good creative outlet, because I don't know what it's like in the visual arts, but I bet you the visual arts are the same thing. It's like, I want you to show me a painting if Jackson Pollock did Nighthawks.
And the thing was, I don't know how it was in the U.S., but I'm sure it was similar. Was like I saw an interview with a Vancouver band from late '80s, early '90s, and they were talking about like people, oh, your music videos were really good at that time. He's like, well, at that time, Vancouver had a burgeoning film scene happening, so music videos were made usually on weekends, off hours, by legit film crews and shit. So it's just cash on a weekend deal. It's like, okay, you rent some equipment. You get the people. And that's why they looked as good as they did, and they were done cheap because it was still young people that, cool, let's go shoot, let's make a music video. Cool.
Yep, that's like Ridley Scott, who did Blade Runner. He did videos, he did perfume ads, he did all this weird stuff, and built it into a film career. But that's just kind of not happening anymore.
No.
Well,
they had budgets, right? And then once, we had the music video, not just like MTV, but you still had like Friday night videos.
And I remember that. You could dial in and vote for who you thought.
Yeah, almost all the networks had some show that was going to show music videos. Like even American Bandstand, you might have like in-house performance, but they would also show one or two music videos after a while, and got incorporated into that. So then it's like, all right, so part of it was, here's our budget to promote a single. Well, part of that budget is now we need to make a music video for that single, because that's equal promotion to all your in-store point of sale, pop-up, whatever, posters and music stores and shit.
Oh, and ARF is calling out that Billy Squier video for Rock Me Tonight. I remember that. Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
That was kind of a career killer.
Yep.
I saw Billy Squier live a few times. He was good. He was a better guitar player than I thought he was.
Mm-hmm. So. And was rocking vintage gear all the time on stage.
Yeah, with like 54 tellies and stuff. Yeah, he was not... What are you... Sorry, I have a cat climbing into the cabinet underneath me. Did you get stuck, you moron? Ugh. Pardon me. Saturday Night Electric Circus.
Yeah.
I've never seen that, but
that was on...
fun.
First it was on City TV, and then it got over to Much Music after a while, which was kind of their live dancing. Like you could show up sort of like Soul Train or American Bandstand, where similar idea, but more house music, club music at that time, because it was like, at least when I watched, late 80s, early 90s, you were getting into all that house dub music or just whatever you probably heard in the clubs.
Mm.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was because it was a late night show. It was on like 10 at night type thing. And
Michael Krause is saying Billy is still touring. I'm glad to hear it. I
Nice.
saw the last time I saw anything about Billy. Believe it or not, he got some award from the city of New York for like replanting endangered trees in Central Park or something. He was doing like some reseeding thing. And I was like, oh my god, that's Billy Squire. So,
Wild.
and Michael B is arguing that It's Hard was the same at Who's Next. I think it was It's Hard he's talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, but who plays anything off It's Hard? I mean, it's like you know, it just like
Okay.
that late Who stuff was not good. Not good. And then Pino Palladino was an awesome bass player, but it's like, oh, Face Dances. Yeah, I don't know, man, but who's requesting Face Dances? Like, who looks back and says my favorite Who album is Face Dances? Nothing wrong
Right.
with Kenny Jones drumming, but they lost a lot with Keith. And so, I didn't know Billy was from Boston. He very well could be.
I have no idea.
But he was a really good, I saw him a couple of times. He was very good live. He had a really good backup band, too. I have no idea who they were, but they were really good. He had a really solid lead guitar player.
Friend Larry Mitchell played with Billy for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, geez. Maybe I...
That
I
was
did see what that-
before Tracy Chapman, I believe.
Hmm.
I want to say.
In 2020, Terry is saying Much Music was it. And Billy was from Boston. Okay. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like in 10 years. It's really kind of scary. We're farming out art and music.
I think we're going to be like similar to in the 70s when everything got bloated, and then in the 80s when everything got bloated. We get a reset. We had the punk reset, we had the grunge reset. And I think it's just going to be just roots music. Whatever, just real music, whatever that is. Guitars into real amps, no fucking...
I hope. I don't care if it's dulcimers into Marshalls. I don't care. Just so it's people playing it. We don't know what a dulcimer into a Marshall will sound like. Maybe it's great.
David Lindley's done it.
He probably did. I mean, anything's possible. But it just seems like we're farming out all of our arts. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he played with Klaus Floyd. That is a weird fact, Michael Krause. Well, that was like, oh God, what was it? Neil Young. I remember reading something about some insane
Neil Young and
Rick James. Neil Young and Rick James. And then
because Rick was avoiding the draft from Detroit, so he was living in Toronto.
Yeah, Rick.
And they're both in Yorkville at the same time and put a band together.
That's what
doing like R&B covers, like basically kind of Motown-y type stuff.
I can see that working in a weird sort of way, That and the Gizmotron or whatever that robot that adjusts his amp, whatever that thing's called.
Oh.
I love that thing.
Right.
Amps and talent. Burnout will happen.
You want to hear weird rants. I don't know who's weirder, fucking Mike Matthews or Neil Young.
Well, I don't know. I'll give Neil Young props because he used to own Lionel trains. Mike Matthews.
He still does. But he also, you remember the Pono device?
I forgot about that.
Yep. So it's a digital recording. That's like CD quality. So it's an MP3 player. No, it's not an MP3 player. It's Pono file. But they're different.
It's still digital. It's like, no, it's a higher sampling rate. Whizzer, that's a thing, Jimmy Page. Sorry, the Whizzer.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, I remember he marketed that, and it's like, but it's just a higher sample. But this is the guy, didn't he re-roof his barn in an album of his he didn't like or something?
Yes.
I remember. So.
Yes, because he bought all of them.
Mark Taft, am I going to buy anything? Honestly, I'd like to get rid of stuff. I finally think I'm real comfortable with basses, and I have way too many. But I can never sell basses. I don't know why. There's only been a handful. Jazz basses I've sold because I can't get comfortable with them. But
then buy LPD pedals.
I have a few LPD pedals. I'm finally settling into I like 10-inch or better radius, and I tend to like Gibson scale. So I have some guitars I'd like to get rid of. I'd like to get rid of my Mexa Strat. and a few other things, but the market's just saturated.
Yeah.
Right now. You can't get rid of anything.
100S. So what bars they have made it for a band to play at in Toronto today? Ooh, I don't know. I haven't been part of the Toronto music scene in about 10 years myself. I don't know if there's really a bar per se, because I don't know if you've made it if you're playing a bar in Toronto.
I don't know if you've made it.
Like, I'm thinking bigger venues like a Massey Hall or something like that. But I guess like if you played the Elma Combo or the Horseshoe, they're kind of iconic bar venues. I didn't get to play either of those, but I played. What was it called? The Velvet Underground. I think I may have played the Orbit Room. The Bovine Sex Club. That's an interesting named place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a bad album cover title.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've played a few more that I'm sure are no longer in business.
But the Bovine Sex Club still is. Interesting.
It is. I headlined there. Yeah. No, it was just known as this great punk bar. It was great because they had the stage looked like it was originally like, say, the front of a restaurant where in the front window they'll have a raised area like a stage but with a railing, and there would have been some tables and chairs up there. They got rid of that, but everything was just stickers of bands. All the walls, the ceiling, the railing, and it was like 4 deep. Like, so it was like if you played that stage, you left one of your stickers somewhere.
That is cool.
I just remember that place playing. It was amazing because we were supposed to go on stage around 11:30. We didn't get on stage till after midnight. The place had to be 100 degrees, like no air, just moist. It was a hot August Friday night in Toronto, so the street's just electric outside. So in New York City, just packed sidewalks, everything's happening, and there's a dozen or more clubs over the course of 10, 12 blocks or whatever. Every block has a club or two on either side of the street. And yes, I have played the Rock Pile as well, which is a pretty decent sized venue. I would say, yeah, the Rock Pile maybe, because that's like the bigger club. Like George Lynch plays there, for instance. But yeah, I remember just going on and just you could feel the electricity. Like, I'm like, this is what it's all about. And I just remember already being hot and sweaty, just loading my gear in. And so I played the entire set shirtless and
melting.
And just, Les Paul down around the hips, just giving her, just going crazy. And I remember we finished the set and my singer put his arm around me. He goes, I've never seen you poured out like that on stage before. That was amazing.
Great.
And I was just like breathing heavy, just gave it all like 90-minute set of pure just. And then we went and partied on a 55-foot yacht afterwards.
Oh, that's hard to beat.
Party.
That's hard to beat.
Yeah. Well, the worst was we posted photos at about 4 or 5 in the morning. And then we had to play a show the next day down here. And the promoter saw the photos. He's like, I am not expecting much from you guys tonight. I'm like, if we give you 80%, it'll still be better than half the bands that you get in here. And we did, and we were right. But yeah, the Rock Pile, that was a fun place to play. It's out in the West End, shitty location, but they get a lot of, let's call it legacy 80s bands that can't play an actual theater or big room anymore. Like, when we were there, I remember like George Lynch was in like 2 weeks before me, and Faster Pussycat was there 2 weeks after me playing. So like gives you the idea. Except we were headlining Indie Night during a blizzard.
Indie night
so we played for the other bands. Our business manager,
and the staff,
people he brought out, the staff, my girlfriend. She came out to that show. Yeah. I knew it was going to be a shit show. Rob showed up, right? And I saw the location. When there's a shuttered Walmart like in the greater area, like, you know, on the same block, that tells you something. Like, if you can't support a fucking Walmart, you know, and there's multiple elevated highways within the distance, so you can, you know, you're kind of in this weird little armpit out towards the airport.
Walmart couldn't make it there. That's pretty
dark. And I'm like, oh man, you know, and I knew the forecast, it was going to be a blizzard, and when we showed up a little late, like we were right at the end of load-in type thing, and there's already nobody there, and usually people get there early and want to check, you know, and I'm like, oh no.
Not that night.
So we walked in, and my first words were, Rob, because I knew we were playing for a portion of the door, so I'm like, we're losing money tonight unless we sell merch. Fortunately, we always had merch, and we sold merch, so that's how we could pay ourselves to get to and from these shows. But my first thing was, where's the green room? And the promoter who rented out the facility's like, what green room? I'm like, you have a green, we get a green room. We're headlining, where's the green room? He goes, I'll be right back. And he runs over to the bartender. And he asked the bartender, like, do you have a green room? And I knew, because, again, like, Lynch had been there 2 weeks earlier. And Lynch ain't hanging out in the crowd before his set. So there's got to be a room of some kind. And I'm looking around the decor, which clearly hasn't been renovated since the 80s. It had a kind of a pub atmosphere, so I understand why it wasn't. And I'm looking around, and it didn't dawn on me till after I went outside, and I ran into then I asked one of the staff members, I'm like, what did this place used to be? And here you go, you Ontario people. A Mother's Pizzeria was what the building used to be. So imagine like a Pizza Hut went out of business in 1982 and got converted into a rock club. You know, so as much pizza parlors have, you know, the separate banquet room in the back where your baseball team would rent it out at the end of the year. So that was the green room. Because I'm like, it's a Mother's. I know there's a green room for sure. And then came in, I'm like, sure enough, they gave us a green room. And it was kept funny because we left the door open, and the other bands would walk by our door to go out to the patio to smoke. And they're like looking in and they're like, sup? And they're like, who are they? Because we're all middle-aged, and they're a bunch of kids that are open. You know, a bunch of guys in their teens and 20s. And like, who's the guy with the Lemmy Burn stash? And I'm like, that's me. You know.
It's like the bar from Shaun of the Dead, whatever it was called, the Alamo or whatever.
Yeah.
I never played any place iconic, but the one thing I do remember that's gone now, the best clubs we ever played were all old train stations. Ooh. We played a ton of old train stations. We always would get, our green room would be the upstairs first class lounge, or we would get some train car they rented out for private parties. And those places were all great. And then by the late 90s, they completely ripped up all the train tracks, so they were never going to bring them back. And they like turned them all into high-end condos. I mean, I remember that the best rock clubs were always these train stations because they were always near colleges. And this is up and down, the Northeast Corridor. So this is basically like Binghamton in New York State, like all the way down to Baltimore.
Right. Which, similar age infrastructure to Southern Ontario timeline. So probably. Like the majority of the places that I played were the clubs which were still in the downtown core of any given town. It's going to be a 3-story brick building, long and narrow. See you, Chris.
Bye,
usually stage either load in at the back of the venue and the stage was at the front by the front door, or you load in the front and the stage was at the back.
Yeah.
It's always one or the other. Bovine was nice because it was literally just in the front door. You just walked in 10 feet and walked around a little half wall and boom. It's perfect. But yeah, you know, like the classic, you know, bar down one side, booths or tables down the other, maybe some pool tables at some point, and then usually a stage at the back of the room. And it's just, that's club life, and I didn't mind it. It smelled equally of urine, BO, and spilled beer. Amazing how they got that combo just right every time.
The same people who painted the floors of the movie theaters and the soda and popcorn, you know.
Yeah.
Just make it good and sticky.
Well, we should probably wrap things up. We went almost 2 hours, and I was going to go an hour and a half. So that happened, folks. You got bonus time and everything.
Yippee. Yikes.
I will be back tomorrow. More fun shenanigans. Oh, I'm going to give away some channel memberships too. Mazel.
Yay!
Yay. And then, yeah, so we'll see everybody tomorrow. Rob, hold the line here. We'll chat off air, as it were. Excuse me. Thanks, everybody that tuned in. What was the name of the venue that you were asking for a green room? Was it one of the Kingston shows? No, it was the Rock Pile, Mark. That's how I thought of the story, is because you mentioned the Rock Pile. So, yes. So have a great night, everyone. Be good to each other. Hold those doors open. Let Dastardly Dave in ahead of you in traffic. And be good to each other. Happy tone chasing, of course. And as always, don't litter.